increase your merits, and observe civility. Courtesy. This is an old maxim that a person is known by his civility. His manners and etiquette are sufficient enough to exhibit to what extent he is social, courteous, and modest. Civility and courtesy are so closely related with each other that one cannot be practiced without the other one. One cannot be civilized without being courteous, and one who is courteous will be considered civilized also. Such person is always careful not to cause any harm or humiliation to others. He is very polite in expressing his views and listens others very attentively. Such person always avoids self-praise, as he knows that self-appreciation is the sign of mean mentality. A civilized and courteous person should always behave in such a manner that people coming in his contact should themselves appreciate him. Tendency of seeking self-praise is fatal for personality development. Courtesy itself is a human trait which regards the person with honor and esteem without any consideration, while the inconsiderate person who lacks in civility, who misbehaves with any person, makes even his family members hostile to him. Many people correlate education and use of fashionable dresses with civility and courtesy, but this attitude is not correct. A person dressed in an extravagant outfit may be a rude person, while an uneducated farmer may be counted as courteous. With this attitude, when we turn our attention to our neighborhood and look at qualified modern younger generation, we have to regretfully accept that our country is rapidly losing its age-old tradition of civility and courtesy. Qualified young persons of today are giving little importance to courtesy and are lacking refinement of civilized life. Majority of school and college-going students these days use abusive language in their conversation, use vulgar words, and create nuisance everywhere. Their lifestyle also cannot be compared with any civilized one. Many other bad habits are so closely inculcated in our behavior and lifestyle that we do not find any aberration in them due to frequent repetition, but a stranger will recognize them as bad manners. For example, failure in timely return of borrowed thing, ill treatment to borrowed ones, and return of anything in deteriorated condition, to forget to pay for something purchased from the market on credit, inviting guests to home, and absenting from home to attend them, delay in answering the letters, always reaching late in the office are some bad habits which imperil the reputation of a person, and his esteem is lowered in the eyes of others. This is not practical to expect one uniform system of civility from every person, where a lack of agreement is found in this world among different nationalities, religions, sects, in climatic conditions, and world is divided into thousands of parts on the basis of political, geographical, economical, social points of view. Hindus, Muslims, Christians contradict each other on many aspects of religious civility. Even then, mutual behavior, relations, and contacts of the people have become so interdependent due to the scientific invention these days that some general rules of civility have emerged which every person should know about them. Whereas the cultures and civilities of other nations emphasize more on outer or bodily rules and actions, the Indian culture reiterates to adhere to the fidelity and faithfulness along with practicing outer or bodily rules and actions. These internal emotions provoke that genuineness in our behavior to which wise people are attracted. Civility and tenderness are closely related. He whose attitude and mental instincts have become tiresome, boring, and uncompassionate cannot amicably meet with others, nor can he be cordial to anyone. Repercussion of this attitude will be that other people will neglect him, as well as treat him as a stranger, and he will pass his life in solitude. Tenderness is such a great characteristic that it transforms an ordinary person into loving and close friend, and he can lead his life pleasantly, even with handful of meals. The foremost of all other teachings of civility emphasizes to welcome your guests, not only with external actions but also with your body language. Primarily, we should firmly believe that this is our duty to be courteously attending our guests. If we ignore them, we will be considered an animal-like person, degraded of humanity. This is the root of Indian civility, which reveals that hospitality to guests is an outstanding obligation. This tradition was actually the practical aspect of our country, revealing that we are ready to carry on hospitality despite hardships, and this attitude used to mark an everlasting impact on guests. Now the things are changed enough. Cross-country relations and business is expanded to a great extent. Now it's very difficult to explain mannerism because one custom acclaimed and honored in our country is adversely treated elsewhere. In spite of setting aside the civility behavior of individual geographical area, some unanimous civility manners have come up with the interaction of different civilizations of world during the last 100 or more years, that they are now recognized as international standards in civility. When we talk about the civility manners compatible to Indian culture, then some of them can be categorized as under: civility in context of religion, ethics, and character. This is our primary duty, to respect all religion. This is inhuman to criticize others' religious rituals. This is unfair to interfere in the adoration of any person. Quite a sizable number of persons utter Sita Ram, Radhe Shyam, Shiv Shiv very loudly. One should not make noise when night is approaching or people in general are resting. This is bad to earn the resources by begging when one is physically competent. If you wish to decline any beggar, simply refuse. Maintain peace and behave gently near religious places. Indian culture emphasizes on waking up before sunrise, as this habit heightens the mental and spiritual instincts apart from keeping the man healthy. As per Indian tradition, one should not enter in any religious holy place of any community wearing shoes. Before entering sacred places, one should keep shoes, umbrella, sticks, etc. outside. This is unfair to enter in any place which is fortified with wall or fencing without the permission of the owner or manager of that place. This is a bad practice to push and press at the ticket window of a station, bus stop, post office, and fair. One should help in maintaining a queue and wait for his turn. One should follow the guidelines mentioned while going at public places. This is childish to break the rules or creating nuisance at public functions, fairs, etc. One should always buy a ticket while going to some specific places. If this is mandatory, refusing to buy a ticket is an offense. Civility in context of human relations. This is preferred in Indian tradition to honor the teachers, parents, by touching their feet every morning. One should cordially welcome the guests and should not sit legs or hands stretched rudely apart. This is unfair to scold or abuse the servants or anybody in the presence of guests. One should not occupy a higher place to sit in the presence of elders or honorable people. This is a sign of civilized person to cover the face while yawning, sneezing or coughing. On identifying a person at some place, take initiative to greet him or her cordially and give way to older ones, diseased, ladies, and physically handicapped persons. While visiting the home of others, one should take care of convenience of host and other people residing there. This is disrespectful to suddenly leave an ongoing public function, meeting or conference. One should not attend these functions if he is short of time, or should prefer such a place in rear side where his exit from the function will not be noticed by others. One should always be affectionate and courteous to his neighbors. Be available to help them at the time of need, and if they are financially poor, then should not make them feel inferior by exhibiting your affluency. On the same lines, it is not wise to try to earn their sympathy by explaining your hardships to the prosperous neighbors. So far as possible, neighbors should be treated on the basis of equality, and whatever help is given to them, it should be selfless and counted as a part of your duty. When meeting a patient, never attempt to exaggerate his disease, and do not indulge in any disappointing conversation. One should attend the patient in a very pleasant mood and should encourage him to be free from ailment. Do not call a person in loud manner. Avoid indulging in loud conversation, pleasantry or loud laughing. If you happen to stay at any place, take care not to follow any unknown woman in such a manner which causes her to feel embarrassed. Do not look at any women by turning back repeatedly. It is unfair to stare or watch women sitting at the top of houses or in corridors. Proper care should be taken to keep guest houses, parks, etc. clean. This is a bad manner to leave them dirty after making use of them. Civility in pantry and hygiene. Dining area should necessarily be clean and of good taste. This is not a good manner to eat and drink with a noise. Use only right hand to eat. This is uncivilized to wet your fingers with dal and curry to the height of digits, and their lapping also is against ethics. This is unhealthy to drink water and other desserts in standing position. While taking food, should not pronounce any word which is similar to something which creates a feeling of hostility and disgust. Food should be taken with full contentment and peace. It is injurious to health to take food while walking and wandering. This is against civility also. This is a bad habit to cross over any food or drinking item. Civility in conversation and lifestyle. This is unfair to go and sit where other people are chatting. If any unfair word is uttered during conversation, one should immediately apologize for that. Do not always try to talk yourself only. Give a chance to the others to speak also. This is foolishness to create a quarreling situation by attempting to answer rudely. Instead of answering rudely, one should simply utter very cordially, "In my opinion, you're missing something," or say, "You have not got the right information." This is against civility to always use abusive language and utter vulgar words. Always try to keep your promises. Never exaggerate any event. There is no dearth of men and women who fall in the grip of fashion and start using foreign clothing. This is not fair. Specifically, the tight dresses of ladies will literally be considered detrimental, keeping in view the Indian culture. These ladies let down their prestige in the company of males. One should wear appropriate dress suitable in the public or private functions. Virtuous conduct and good behavior are the part of civility. A man of good civility does not attempt to harm any person even with heart, speech or actions. He never uses abusing languages for others, and neither wishes them anything that is below standard of decency. He never does any act that might tease anyone. A courteous and an amicable behavior becomes the part of his personality. There is no room for pride in civility, not the least. Humbleness, cordiality, modesty in civility increases with the affluency in civility. As a grown tree bends down with the weight of fruits, likewise, the cordiality and modesty of these persons increases even with the increase in their worldly possessions and dignity. Civility is such a good quality which can be attained with practice and conduct. Some specific situations or birth in an elite family is not required for this. A person living in whatever circumstances can enrich his life with civility with little efforts. For this, the softness of an emotional heart is required. Such person is always careful to his conduct and minor happenings in the life so that others are not adversely affected. This is very much necessary in the civility to take care of the sentiments of others. Self-retrospection and its importance. One can become a virtuous person if even at least 1% of the time incurred in the appraisal of morality and immorality of others is used in self-retrospection. Others' faults are easily visible, but own faults are visible only when our inner self is thoroughly introspected in specified manner in a relaxed situation. The invention of mirror is the artwork of modern time, but still there is no mirror of character, and neither it will be in future. The persons who always look to the fault of others do so while hiding their identity. Many persons appreciate and scorn others in their absence. The primary topic of our conversation always remains the condemnation of others. People sometimes appreciate and behave in a servile manner in order to gain something, even having animosity in heart. This appreciation by others is a hurdle in your right self-retrospection. This is a peculiar weakness of human character that man always desires for his praise. He never lets off this desire to subside even to the time of his last breath. Truth is only that which is hidden in our inner self. We can evaluate that truth only by being our own spy. Only this self-test will reproduce a real picture before us, and only then we can improve our character. This is our actions that represent our character. We should evaluate ourselves not by perception but by our conduct.